Hey race fans, Big Trev coming at you again. We're going to talk about the Coca-Cola 600, and it's the longest race of the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup series season. So this race is the only race that actually had 4 stages, and Harvick started on the pole. Kyle Busch took the lead early, and then on lap 19, all hell broke loose. We had a crash due to oil on the track from Jeffrey Earnhardt. Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski were involved, and their night was done early. And this race really threw a wrench into play because of Kyle Larson's issues later on. So after that first caution, we had Harvick leading, and then on that first caution, Jamie McMurray got busted for speeding in the pits, so he had to restart at the tail of the field. And Kyle Busch won stage 1, and then that was our second caution. And then the third caution was Matt DiBenedetto cut a tire, and then during that caution period there was lightning in the area, so they red flagged the race, and then a thunderstorm came. And so a little over an hour and a half on a red flag. And then the race finally resumed on lap 154. But they did have to do a lot of drying to the track under caution. So once they resumed, Truex was the leader. And we had somewhat of a decent run. It was a 20-lap run. And then during that time period, Danica Patrick cuts tire, and there was debris from it, but she did not hit the wall. And then during the pit stops, Ryan Blaney broke a rear axle trying to leave the pits. And stage 2 goes to Martin Truex Jr., and that was the 5th caution. Now I will say this, Martin Truex really has been on fire this whole season, and I feel like he's going to be a force to reckon with. I just could not believe how good he's been doing. He's very consistent, and that's what this really stems around, is consistency. You got to be consistent. I can't say enough that consistency in racing has to be awarded. So I'm very glad that was the case, and that they went to this format is what I'm trying to get at. So then we had a blown engine by Ty Dillon, and after that, then Larson. And Larson's problems took him out of the points lead. He was leading the points, and now Martin Truex is leading the points by 5 points. And I believe Larson was leading by 40 or 43 points or something like that, 40-some points. But and that was a big lead. And then just like that, your lead could be gone. So really, it comes down to consistency. It does. And I'm not saying Larson has not been consistent. Larson has been very consistent. Actually, he's been pretty much the most consistent besides Truex. And when you have one bad finish, when you're being consistent, that can take you out of the points lead or the championship lead later on in the season. And you can't, and it's not even a mistake, it's more like a misfortune. Could be bad luck. You get caught up in someone else's mess, just like what happened with Keselowski and Chase Elliott. This race really was hard on the youngsters, and I feel like that was quite a big deal, just because the fact that it almost seems like it's possibly the turning point of what we're going to see come summer. We had the 48 was strong, and he ran out of fuel later on, and I'll tell you something right now. I was very shocked at the few cautions we had. We only had 9 cautions for a 600-mile race. That is a lot of green. And when that happens, fuel mileage comes into play like it did this weekend. And I did not like the way that it happened and that it turned out to be fuel mileage, because then you're almost racing. You're almost going slow to go fast. It doesn't work like that. You want to go as fast as you can. And I feel like that it was just one of those, oh, go slow it down, save fuel. Well, that's not really much of a race. So I like to see the better car win and the better guy win. And I think a lot of people agree. But fuel mileage, I guess it just comes to who's best at saving fuel. But, at the end of the day, though, it's still a win. Austin Dillon won, by the way, in the 3-car. And that's the first time the 3-car has been to victory lane since October of 2000. And I have mixed thoughts on that. I really don't think the 3-car should be out on the racetrack. And that's all I'm going to say. If you're an avid NASCAR fan, you know why. It's just, to me, it's disrespectful that number is on the track. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say. It's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. So, but congratulations to Austin Dillon for doing a good job with his fuel mileage calculations, and somehow it worked. But I'll tell you, Jimmy Johnson was right there too. So if the 3-car would have ran out, it would have been Jimmy. And then Kyle Busch was there too. And I'll tell you, Kyle Busch got second. And Kyle Busch was really upset that he got second. I can see why, but at the same time, I feel like you should not be a poor sport. So, but that pretty much does it for this analysis of the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series. And I believe I finally said it right. But it's really been kind of a laid-back season so far. Nobody's really shown strength to run ahead into summer. But we do have a lot of tracks that Johnson's good at, and we have a lot of tracks that that are going to be a wild card. We got Sonoma. Who's going to be good at Sonoma in a couple weeks? Allmendinger, he's good on the road courses, so we'll see what happens. Next race is at Dover, and that's on FS1. And I remind you again, the next 4 races are on FS1. It's going to be Dover, Pocono, Michigan, and Sonoma. Those 4 races on FS1. So this weekend it's going to be Dover. And I didn't get to this till late because of the fact that it was really busy this week. And before you know it, it's Friday night and it's 2 days before the next race. Better get it done. So I guess we'll see you next week.